So let's talk about our font style. At Dcssp Cybersecurity and Software Programming, Dcssp, we format our documents with a specific font family called Lexend. So the way we often advise you do it is take out your time, focus on the documents. You don't have to rush to format the font size at the beginning. That is because sometimes when you switch over from one particular title to another particular title, it overwrites your font family. Let me show an example. For instance, you can see team overview over here. Should I rename this team overview from H2 to H3? You'll see that it has changed my font family to Arial. But at Dcssp Cybersecurity, we're very familiar, we're very conversant with how we put our documents. So if somebody in the company sees you with a document where the font size does not really match, they might think that document was adulterated. It might be a fake document, it might not be coming in from us. That is because we expect everybody in the company to know how we format documents, which one of those rules are that all fonts must be Lexend. So what we advise is take out your time, finish all the formatting, do your header 1, your header 2, your header 3, and when you're done, hit Command A or Control A if you're on Windows, and head over to this section and switch to Lexend. Now what this would do is that it would format every single font into the Lexend, whether you have mixed it or not. Always make sure you over format them to Lexend whenever you're done with any changes. The second thing, the font color. Now if you notice, this color over here is gray. This happens with Google Docs, as when you choose certain kind of style, it's formatted for you. So if I should change key functions right now to, let's say, something like heading 4, you also see that it's gray. So but that is not what we intended. So if I go back right now and I pull this to heading 2, which is what it is, and pull this to heading 2, which is what it is, now this might be black, but then it has also formatted the font family. So our advice is always to make sure when you're done with the document, you should first hit Ctrl A. The first thing to do is to format the Lexend, and now the second thing to do is to make sure that each and every part of the, which is before you Ctrl A and format the Lexend, that each and every part of the titles are the appropriate titles. Now if you have not watched the video around sectionizing documents, you should go watch it out, as the way we section documents over here at Dcssp is quite very intentional. Okay, now we have discussed about the font family, and we've also talked about the font color. So we're going to be talking about the last one, which is the font size. Now we use different sizes depending on what we are referring to. If the document is a heading 1, then the font family will be 18 points. If it's a heading 2, it will be 16 points. If it's a heading 3, it will be 14 points. So let me show you what I mean. Now back at this document again, I want you to pay attention to the heading 2. The heading 2 is the one that comes in after the heading 1, which is usually the title. If I double click this heading 2, you notice that it has 16 points. So is every other heading 2. However, the moment we get to where we can see a heading 3, we'll also notice that it has been formatted to 14, which is 14 points. And then if you go to heading 4, which is the section inside heading 3, it will be formatted to 12 points. Now these formatting points are really very, very important. Now let's have a recap. This is our recap. At Dcssp, we all make sure we use the font family Lexend. Now this should never be mistaken, or you should never use any other font apart from Lexend. The second one, our font color at Dcssp is always black. So always make sure that when you're done with your document, you go back to check that this document is all in black and white. And last but not the least, our font points. Now for anything that has to do with a heading 1, it is 16. For anything that has to do with heading 1, it is 18 points. For anything that has to do with heading 2, it is 16 points. For anything that has to do with heading 3, it is 14 points. And for heading 4, it is 12 points. So just to show you this before we close the video, from the beginning of this document, the first header, which happens to be the title, which is heading 1, was in 18 points, which you can see over here, the font size. The other sections, which is the heading 2s, they were all consistently at 16 points. The sections inside of the heading 2, which is the heading 3, they were all at 14 points. And the sections inside the heading 3, which is the heading 4, they were all at 12 points. Every other document, or every other text rather, every other word text that is not a header would be a normal text. And for a normal text, for every normal text would be at 12 points. So what do I mean by a normal text? So when you sectionize the document, if you have gone to the sectionization video, you would sometimes have descriptions like here. This is the overview heading 2, but we have a description of what this overview is. It's a normal text and its font size 12. Now this is key functions. It gives you a list of the things that are the key functions. These are normal text, they're not titles, they're not headings. So if you look at every one of them, it's a normal text. So what we're saying is every particular text, every single text within the Daniel Keck Cyber Security and Software Programming Limited, any document we have, if this document has a text and this text is not a header 1, 2, 3, or 4, it has to be 14 points. And then last but not the least, the font weight. So because of the font family we use, we do not bold in our text. So usually most people would use what we call bold, which is what we all know, to bold in certain kind of part of the text. But because of the font family we use, we don't do that. So if I was to bold in the team overview, this would be bigger. You can see this is quite bigger than this, right? But this is not what we do at Dcssp. We don't bold in the headers. We leave them natural the way they are. Now this makes it easier and more user-friendly to read, although one could argue that bolding this up would create emphasis into the different section. But as of recording this video, we have an approach where these texts are not bolded. So it simply means that from A to Z, we don't appear bolded text, except in very rare cases where we're discussing contracts. Say for instance, the independent contract over here. There were some places where we would have to bold in certain things, but a huge part of the time, if you're drafting this and you're not from the legal department, you're better off leaving the document the neutral way. No italics, no underline, no bolding, just leave it the way it is at the font size.